God created heaven and earth. The creation of heaven and earth was finished. He created again, creating man. At first, he created earth, and then he created man. The creation of man was finished. He created woman. He took a rib out of man and created again, creating woman. The creation of woman was finished. He created again, creating life. Father God said, "I love my son and my daughter. I will give them my great life." He breathed a little of his life into the nostrils of the two. They came to life and became real human beings. The creation of man was finished.
Do you recognize this story? It resembles the start of the book of Genesis, written thousands of years ago. However, it is, in fact, a song of the Karen people, first documented 200 years ago in Burma. Songs like this were quite a surprise to the first missionaries. How was it possible that the isolated Karen tribe knew the story of creation so well? They also knew about the temptation in Eden and about a coming king who would be the king of all the world. And then there would be peace on earth, with no one being rich or poor. Missionaries George Moore and Francis Mason were surprised to discover that the Karen tribe believed in one true God and avoided idol worship despite their Buddhist surroundings. These and other anomalies posed an intriguing mystery. The link to Israel was unmistakable. But where did they get these ideas? Initially, they thought that it must have been missionaries from Portugal. But if that were the case, why were the Karens still waiting for a Christ figure? And if from the Jews, why did they only seem to know things from the First Temple era? An important clue to the mystery lies in the Karen calendar. Incredibly, the Karen people consider 2025 to be their year, 2764. That means that something happened in 739 BC that was foundational to the Karen tribe. So the question must be asked, what was happening in Israel at that time? In the 13th century BC, the people of the nation of Israel crossed the Jordan River and entered the land of Canaan, their promised land. After conquering the land, it was divided among the tribes of Israel, initially ruled by judges and later by kings. The reign of King David, their second king, brought them great stability, and under his son, King Solomon, Israel established itself as the center of commerce and international trade, forging trade routes throughout the east, north, and west. The renowned ships of Tarshish, which undertook global journeys lasting years, marked Israel's golden age as a thriving trading empire and a rising global power. However, this period of prosperity did not last. After Solomon, internal strife led to the kingdom being divided, with Israel in the north and Judah in the south. The northern kingdom expanded its territory under King Omri, leading to the Israelites being referred to as variations of Qumri, Gomri or Kimri by the Assyrians. After Omri, Israel faced a succession of ineffective and corrupt rulers. By the year 740 BC, Assyria had expanded into Israel, capturing cities and forcibly relocating their inhabitants. In 739 BC, which is the year 0 on the Karen calendar, the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh were taken by the Assyrians to the eastern border. The rest of Israel continued to fall, and by 722 BC, the nation of Israel was lost. After the Assyrian capture, many of the displaced Israelites were relocated 2,000 kilometers away to the eastern border of Assyria. The purpose of this relocation was to put Israelite warriors between Assyria and its enemies. This created a buffer zone, and any army attacking Assyria would first have to fight its way through the fierce Israelite warriors. The Assyrians allowed the Israelites to farm, do business, and keep their military forces. But many of the Israelites would not stay, and instead chose to keep moving on. They went to the trading centers established by Solomon. They went west, north, and east, finding new land to start new lives as exiles. They were identified by different names in various locations. Near ancient Greece, they were known as the Cimmerians, derived from Gomri or Qumri. In other areas, the house of Isaac became known as the Scythians or the Saka, while the Scythians and the Cimmerians eventually spread throughout Europe and beyond. The Saka remained in Central Asia. Despite the considerable distance from their promised land, some of the Saka continued moving east until their presence was noticed by another ancient civilization. By 659 BC, scribes of the Zhou dynasty documented the arrival of a tribe of nomadic herdsmen from the west, whom they referred to as the Xiyang. The Chinese symbol for Qiyang is a combination of the symbols for a sheep and a man. The Qiang were different from the Chinese Han population in both appearance and behavior. They were considered as others or not proper Chinese. And so, the Qiang maintained their nomadic lifestyle, following their herds in mountainous regions, which likely helped to preserve many of their Israelite traditions. The Xiyang tribes consistently appear in Chinese historical records from the Zhou dynasty to today, including a migration of Xiyang to the southwest of Chengdu between 380 and 362 BC, seeking refuge from the powerful Duke of Qin. Although the migration of the Israelites can be traced to China, to connect the current tribe to the Xiyang, it is necessary to start in modern times and work our way back. Some of the strongest evidence to support this connection is the story of the Lost Book. This legend of their origin is foundational to the Karen tribe. In 1819, after nearly a decade of fruitless evangelism in Burma, Adoniram Judson, the first Christian missionary to the region, arrived at a turning point. He had taken in a Karen man named Ko Ta Bu as a laborer, a man known for his violent past and a multiple murderer. Despite this, Judson treated him with dignity and often read to him from the Bible. One day, something stirred in Ko Ta Bu. He began to realize that this white brother and his sacred book might be the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy passed down among his people. From that moment on, Ko Ta Bu became a passionate student of the Bible. He soon pleaded for the opportunity to evangelize his people, the Karen. Wherever he traveled, the Karen received the Bible, not as a foreign book, but as their long-lost book, the one foretold in their traditions. The fire that Ko Ta Bu ignited in the Karen started spreading among other people groups, including the Lahu, Wa, Shan, and Kachin, as they began to respond with similar recognition and enthusiasm. Incredibly, they too had been waiting for their precious lost book.
After Yuwa, the creator, created the earth, he decided to go on a long journey. And so, he called his sons together and gave each a book of life. To the Karen brother, who was the eldest, he gave a golden book of life. The other brothers also received books of life, until finally the youngest brother, who was the white brother, received one as well. The white brother took his book of life and went away to the west, and was never seen again. As long as the Karen brother read and followed his golden book of life, he was happy and prosperous. One day, the Karen brother was burning and clearing a field in the forest. He put his golden book of life on a stump in the field while he was doing his work. In his carelessness, the golden book of life was burned, leaving only fragments that he brought back to his house. Gradually, the older brother neglected these fragments until one day they fell through the cracks of the bamboo floor in his house, and the pigs and chickens underneath ate them up.
But that is not all. This story ends with a prophecy. One day, men with white faces would come to them with a white book, and in the book would be the truth they had lost. It was said that that book held the truth of life itself. In their history, among the tribes of northeastern India, the Mizo, Kuki, Chin, Mikir Karbi, and the Kasi, as well as neighboring groups like the Wa, the Lahu, and the Kachin in Myanmar and Thailand, all have a lost book story. More lost book traditions can be found to the north, among the Kyrgyz in Kyrgyzstan, the Altai people of southern Siberia, and also among the Qiyang tribes in China. In nearly all these accounts, the sacred book is not merely lost, it is destroyed. Sometimes it is burned, other times eaten. However, its loss is always tragic and significant. These groups share other remarkable similarities. Like the Karen, several of them possess ancient songs that contain verses strikingly similar to those found in the Bible. Consider this fragment from an ancient Karen song.
When the Karen king arrives, there will be only one monarch. When the Karen king comes, there will be neither rich nor poor. When the Karen king shall come, rich and poor will not exist. When the Karen king arrives, everything will be happy. When the Karen king arrives, the beasts will be happy. When Karens have a king, lions and leopards will lose their savagery.
This song bears a remarkable similarity to Isaiah 11. It is significant that Isaiah 11 also talks about the return of the lost tribes, specifically Ephraim, the northern kingdom, at the time of the Messiah's return. Many lost book people, including those in Kyrgyzstan, remember details of their ancient migration. The Kyrgyz celebrate this through the Manas epic, a multi-day chant that recounts their history and tells the story of a hero named Manas. The name Manas or Manasi appears in the traditions of other lost book tribes and is likely derived from Manasseh, one of the lost tribes of Israel. Another profound connection lies in their concept of God. Many lost book people revere a single creator. Among the Karen, that creator is called Yuwa, a name that is very similar to Yahweh, or Yehovah, the God of Israel. Another interesting connection among the lost book peoples is the tribal memory of a cave in a place called Shinlong. For the Mizo, Kuki, and Chin peoples, Shinlong holds deep cultural significance. In their folk songs, their sudden departure from Shinlong is remembered with sorrow and longing.
Strange are the faces and no friends they are. I had to leave Shinlong, my home.
And another.
The famous Shinlong is my home, the land of my father and mother. To call it back if it were possible, the land of my father and mother.
Remarkably, Shinlong is not a mythic location. There is a place in China called Shinlong, and recently, an expedition there documented a vast cave, which is likely the cave remembered in the history of the Mizo, Kuki Chin people. The cave stretches an estimated 10 to 20 kilometers. Inside, there is evidence of ancient cooking fires and signs of long-term habitation. It is suggested that the cave could have sheltered up to 20,000 people. The location of this cave coincides with an episode in Chinese history from 1730 AD. The governor of Sichuan dispatched 12,000 soldiers to put down the activity of so-called bandits in Xinlong. These bandits are believed to have been the Min River Xiyang and the ancestors of the Mizo, Kuki, Qin people. The lost book peoples of northeastern India exhibit striking cultural traditions that closely align with those of the Karen, suggesting a shared ancestry likely rooted in the Xiyang people of China. However, evidence suggests that the Karen may have migrated south earlier, traveling in a series of waves along the ancient Tea-horse roads. In the early 1800s, Dr. and Mrs. Mason, missionaries in northern Burma, observed that the Saga Karen possessed an extensive oral tradition that mirrored biblical themes. Around the same time, Dr. McGowan documented a Qiyang colony, which he referred to as the Jews, near Chengdu, China, that had existed for over 2,000 years. He proposed that this group could have been the source of the Karen. Among the Karen, there was a deeply held expectation of a coming king who would bring universal peace and restore a lost book authored by the Creator. When missionaries introduced the Bible, the Karen quickly recognized it as that very book, leading to a rapid and widespread embrace of Christianity, taking into account missionary testimonies, historical records, migration patterns, and the remarkable alignment between the Assyrian exile in 739 BC and the Karen calendar's starting point. A compelling case emerges. The Karen may indeed be a long-lost branch of Israel, preserved through nearly 2,700 years of exile. Today, other lost book peoples across India and Southeast Asia are reaching similar conclusions. Increasingly, they are identifying with Israel's story and embracing their connection to the covenants and blessings of Abraham with great joy.